Welcome to another episode of Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie. This week, my guest is Barbara Caisley, been a member of various teams around New Zealand over the years, now a member of a team called Paranormal Reasearchers. Barbara, welcome along to Paranormal After Dark with me, the Roadie. Now, people who listen to my show, they know that my catchphrase is I'm the Roadie and I have questions. I have lots of questions.
So, don't we all?
Exactly. So, what I want to ask you first is, what is your take on what most people call the paranormal? I mean, what do you think we've got going on here?
I really don't know. I've had a lifelong interest in the paranormal, and I've basically been investigating and experimenting since I was a child. I can tell you that my theories and thoughts are constantly evolving, and what I believed, say, 20 years ago, I don't believe today.
So tell me, what did you believe 20 years ago, and then tell me what you believe today.
20 years ago, I'm pretty sure that I believed fully that there were lots of ghosts, for want of a better word.
Yep.
I certainly wouldn't use that word these days, and that they were scary. That was the big thing, I think.
Oh, okay.
That ghosts were really scary and something although they were fascinating, they were also really terrifying and could do a lot of damage and hurt people. And I was more thinking towards that way back then.
Hollywood's view of it.
Yeah, actually, probably, because, I can absolutely tell you that, in the years and years that I've been a paranormal, well, I started off as a ghost hunter, then became a paranormal researcher, a paranormal investigator, and then a paranormal researcher. That's been my evolution. So, my thoughts have changed dramatically since then. I really don't know. And that's the thing. Nobody actually knows. Now I am a lot more into the scientific side of researching. I'm no longer looking for a ghost, an apparition that's going to come wooing out at me from some dark corner or some dark wardrobe or something like that. I'm more into trying to find scientific proof by using, equipment that will monitor humidity, temperature, electromagnetic fields, vibrational fields, and all that sort of thing. So I've definitely evolved massively over that 20 years.
I'm just really a heavy metal radio host that kind of has an interest in the paranormal, coming from my interest in science fiction as a kid, right? And when I look at a lot of investigators on YouTube and that, I watch them in old houses and old schools or whatever, and I'm intrigued because the thing that makes me wonder, and this is one of my questions, is they might be standing in a room calling out to some way. Now, a couple of things. One, if you for shits and giggles say that the spirit world exists, right? My big question that I always see, or I always think, and a lot of them don't ask, is how do the spirits see us? Like, if you're standing in a room calling out for communication, are they, like if they died in 1984, are they in 1984 looking at us and going, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird.
I do.
Eh?
I do know what you're saying, and there is one very simple answer to that question. No one knows.
Exactly. So you've never yourself or a team you've been with actually got anything that you can say, definitely, I think I'm speaking to somebody or something on the other side. You're just not convinced of that yet? You haven't seen enough proof?
Well, strangely, I mean, I have. Maybe not actually speaking with them, but I think I have at times captured, in fact, I'm certain at times I've captured voices that have no they have no right to be there on my recorder.
Yep.
I'll put it like that. Now, whether they are ghosts or spirits, or whether it's like human energy that I'm capturing, or I'm sure you've heard of the stone tape theory,
Yep.
or whether it's something like that, whereby a voice has somehow been trapped or captured, and then some unknown trigger causes it to replay.
That's the big thing for me, Barbara, is you often see, and I'm not denigrating you because I don't know what your evidence is, but you often see people have, I've had communication with a voice or whatever. But for me, most of what I've seen, it doesn't, for want of a better word, seem intelligent. Like, it's not like anyone's really having a conversation with someone. You know what I'm saying? It's like maybe it's just echo of something that happens to be coming through at the time that you talk.
Yep,
Yeah.
and I absolutely agree with you there. A lot of teams do that. It could be someone outside calling out, or but as an investigator, researcher, we're looking for intelligent responses, and we're asking for intelligent responses. It's no good just sort of getting a whisper, which actually could be someone moving their feet or moving, a jacket rustling or anything like that. I've actually been doing some reviewing tonight of an investigation we did recently. And I mean, half of what could have been perhaps a whisper, I've just thrown out, because I know I'm looking for absolutely a voice, that's loud enough to be heard and that is unmistakable as an answer to what I'm asking. And then if we do get an answer, next time we go back, we can perhaps start focusing in on that area of where we might have captured this supposed voice, and perhaps try and draw out further communications, and I could say that loosely, communications.
Right, exactly. Sorry, that's where I struggle with it, where people will say, oh yes, we've definitely got someone. I mean, to me, look how difficult it is for us to get something right. So if let's just say, like, being a Trekkie and watching all the Star Trek, say they're in another universe or another dimension, it would probably be just as difficult for them to communicate with us if they hear us at all.
And that's something that I mean, I know I've given a lot of thought to, and for some investigations, I'll just go along with a whiteboard and literally write questions down and leave a camera and a recorder beside the whiteboard and just leave them to it.
Has that ever worked?
Just can they read? If they can't hear us, can they see something?
That's exactly it. And you see, that's another thing that is interesting, and it's particularly with us, with the Maori culture in this country. I watch a lot of the UK teams, and you see them in a castle, and they might be they think they're talking to someone from the 12th century, but you've got to remember the language barrier. If you've died in the 12th century, or you're a Maori, and you're talking about, in our modern language, and then you're saying, touch the antenna, the first thing you're going to go is, what the hell's an antenna?
Yeah. Oh, and that's dead right. And so that we kind of assume that they don't know what we're talking about, and so we will actually explain. Like on the floor here, there's a cylindrical device that's like a circle, and then on top there are it looks like little glass domes on them, and they light up in different colours, and there's like a silver stick sticking up, because while we don't want to insult their intelligence, we are aware that they might not know what these things are, and some of them could even be scared of them, if they can see them. I mean, this is all completely hypothetical, and I think that's what makes it so interesting, and why it's just so difficult to get any definitive results. There's just so many variables to our research,
and that's what amuses me, is that there's nothing really. A lot of not a lot. There's some teams out there, mainly television shows, of course, will claim they've got things, and you think, well, how come you can get something on film, right? You can get something on film, but but somebody can go back to a house 20 or 30 times with a camera and a microphone and they see nothing. How come you're so special, you know?
Yeah, well, that's true too. But then again, I mean, some people, some investigators, may just be so have such a cognitive bias that they will or won't capture anything that they don't. Either way.
Actually, a very good point. You know, I've watched a lot of teams, and I'm going to ask you something about sexes in a minute. I've noticed this where you see some of these teams on YouTube, and week after week they go out and they get nothing, and you do wonder if perhaps it's A, the people themselves aren't receptive, or B, for whatever reason, if again you want to say the spirits exist, that they don't, interact with, they don't want to interact with those particular people for whatever reason. You know, we get feelings about people in our real life. You know, you like someone and you don't. Well, if I die, I might not like you. I might be going, I don't like that guy. I'm not going to talk to him, you know.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've had cases where what we believed was possibly a male spirit. Now, the reason that we believed it was a male spirit was because we had got the name Wayne, and it appeared that he quite liked one of the investigators in the team. Right. And so we did seem to get, a bit of activity around Wayne when she was around.
Yeah. Well, this is what I was going to segue to, is do you think females are more receptive or more sensitive to it? Because I've watched some of the stuff and I'm beginning to think that females might have more of a kind of perception for it than males do.
I don't actually believe that. Okay. I think either sex is capable of believing or disbelieving.
Yeah.
Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie.
Best of around
it. I'm the Roadie. That was Answered Data out of Auckland with a song called Merging Universes, and you were listening to Paranormal After Dark. I'm chatting with Barbara Caisley, Auckland paranormal researcher. All right, so we're back with Barbara now, talking all things paranormal. Now, we've been talking about, what the paranormal is and stuff, and sensing it. The thing that fascinates me as a person that has done a lot of radio stuff over the years is gadgets, right? The one that I laugh at the most is how people put an FM radio on scan backwards and somehow think that that's picking up spirits because
the spirit box.
Well, more so the little FM radio ones where they do it with the FM radios. I mean, an FM radio, I listened to radio since I was about 8 years old, and old shortwaves where you could literally hit a scan button and you could get it's kind of, I think that's dodgy. I think the radio part's dodgy, but are there any gadgets that you think might actually be kind of, I don't know, helping channel stuff?
Okay, just going back to what you said about the transistor radios. Now, there is not a lot of equipment actually out there for paranormal investigators. Most of what we use has been adjusted or made to work for the paranormal. So we are constantly trying different gadgets. Now, unfortunately, these gadgets are quite expensive, and I have a little cupboard full now of gadgets that because of course you can't try them and use them once or twice and then send them back. So you've got to actually buy these things more than likely, from overseas, and get them shipped at great expense to New Zealand, and you take it out of the box and you have a little play and kind of start to think, I don't know how that's really going to work on an investigation. So you try it at a couple of investigations, and it gets thrown at the back of my paranormal cupboard, never to see the light of day again. And unfortunately, that is what happens. I got a parabolic ear, if that's exactly what's happened with that. I thought it sounded like a good idea at the time, but no. It's just not worth the plastic it's made of. And that is a problem with the equipment that we use. It's constantly evolving. I have a friend who recently spent a fortune on a piece of equipment. It cost you like $2,500. And the first time she used it, I really thought that it was it was just a waste of time. They may as well have been using a transistor radio running backwards. And this is what happens all the time. We have our trusty devices, which we go back to because they have worked in the past. I mean, our recorders, our audio recorders, which we I actually leave audio recorders running to record the entire investigation. But also I have better quality recorders that I will use for when we're doing communication sessions in case we do actually get some communication. So that I mean, most investigators would have at least one or two audio recorders. Then, of course, we've got our cameras, and these days, I mean, a lot of people just use their phones as a camera, but it's always a really good idea to have a good camera, just in case. And a video recorders are very, very handy as well. Especially if you've got tripods, and so you can just leave them going, video all of our communication sessions just in case, but also just video the investigation in general. So those would be the main things. But then you've also got to, it's very handy to have something to measure electromagnetic fields.
That's where I have the issue is, of course, electromagnetic fields is fine, pressure's fine, all that, right? But that's on the assumption, right, that spirits actually put out electromagnetic fields and air pressure, etc., etc. The voice recorders, to me, are possibly the only reliable thing, because if there's a stray voice or a stray sound somewhere, it's going to record it, right? But we're just assuming that electromagnetic and pressure is what spirits do. Same as the the Mel REMs where people walk past them. You know, it's like REM pods, sorry, where people walk past them. We're assuming that a spirit going past will actually trigger it.
Yes, absolutely.
They may not.
But I mean, what cannot be disputed, and the reason why the reason why the REM pods are popular, and these days you can also get Mel meters which have a REM pod attached to it as well, but also just the little EMF readers, is because we have had those particular devices have been used as a form of communication. Now, we know that there are energy fields around. I mean, we come across them in our investigations. When we start doing investigations, one of the very first jobs we have is to go through and get baseline readings for EMF, so that we know what wiring, what appliances are emitting an electromagnetic field. But then if suddenly we get an alert that there is an EMF field somewhere different, and in conjunction with someone hearing a voice or hearing an odd noise, that's when those particular gadgets become useful. Just as a gadget, no. It means nothing if it just goes off by itself.
Exactly.
But if it goes off in an area where you know there was no EMF before, and there's other things happening, it just might mean that there could be a spirit. We know there's an energy around. So, if that energy is a spirit, it just may be, kind of giving us a few pointers as to where to investigate further.
The thing that intrigues me the most, a lot of people will say they can feel and sense things, and I kind of get that, right? I spend a lot of time working in theatre, and it's quite often you would sense and feel things, and it's a real shame we haven't invented a gadget that can actually sense what we sense. You know what I'm saying? You feel that you're being watched. It's a pity you haven't got a because that's a kind of, that sense to me is the most probably. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then the hairs all stick up on your arm, and you're absolutely certain there's someone standing beside you, but you've got no way to prove it.
It wasn't so much that with me in theatres, it was more that I just knew someone was there. For example, one of the last theatres I worked in, I've just given up last year, there was a guy who lived in the place, and he died as a caretaker. He lived there as a caretaker, and he died. And I'd quite often work on my own on lights and stuff, at night, late at night, and you'd know, you just knew someone was sitting watching you, like he was a caretaker. He was watching. You didn't feel scared. You didn't feel anything bad. It was just he's watching.
Absolutely. Was that one at the
Globe?
At
the Globe. Yeah, the Globe, and it was kind of, I would have conversations with him quite often. I never even replied. I'd walk in, good morning, Frank.
Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie.
To the sky, distant view,
featuring Kiwi bands here on the show, as I like to whenever we're on here, Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie and my guest Barbara Caisley. That's investigator out of Auckland, and a song called Madness. Welcome back. Yes, Barbara, I did have a bit of fun there at the Globe last couple of times I was there. I tried the GhostTube app just for a bit of a laugh to sort of see what was going on. And some of the answers I got were interesting, to say the least. But the GhostTube thing, I don't take any credence in that. But I suspect it just listens to everything you talk about and then spits it out later.
Absolutely. Yes, that's what I suspect as well. And then, picks. In fact, we've done experiments on it where we've all started, had one going and just talked about banks and deposits. And sure enough, we start to get the, words with meaning towards that, slanted towards banks.
The only thing that I see it useful for, and I've seen a couple of teams online do it, Ghost on Trent and the Ouija Brothers, they often run out of things to talk about, and they'll just they start kind of, it gives them something to talk to or about, and that's kind of probably all it's useful for.
Yeah. They're very good for public events, for that reason. If people start to get a bit bored or aren't particularly interested in what you're doing, you can just drag that out, and it immediately, because it works, because immediately you start talking and you start to get words, and so it draws people in. It certainly makes people a lot, have quite a lot of interest in it.
So you talked about audio recordings before. I listened to an old Art Bell show the other night, where he was talking to some people from, I can't recall what the group was now in America, but it was at the time, it was about 20 odd years ago, 30 years ago maybe, where it was at the time where we were just going from analog to digital. And one of them would use old cassettes and stuff, and the other one was just starting to use digital stuff. And they claimed that the analog stuff actually had better results than the digital. What do you think?
That could be, actually. I mean, I'm quite old, and so I started out as a teenager using an old cassette recorder, and I would just leave it, sometimes I would just call out. I mean, I was calling out and doing communication sessions before any of the TV people were, the TV investigators were. And other times I would just leave, I'd go, leave the house and just leave this cassette recorder going, and I did pick up some pretty amazing things on it. And probably more regularly than I would on a digital recorder. I guess the thing with a digital recorder is it's relatively easy these days to actually, clip recordings out and that sort of thing. Back in those days, I just didn't have the knowledge on how to clip anything out of
splice tape and muck around. It's a real hassle, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there is that, but I definitely, if I could go back and redo those recordings, it would be very interesting, because some of them were quite amazing. There was one there, I left it going at home, and I mean, something sounded like it was snarling. Right. It sounded very animalistic, and like something was snarling in our lounge, and just things like that. I mean, that is my interest as a young teen.
And that leads me to another question I have, which I'll ask you very shortly. We'll just take a quick break here on Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie and Barbara, and we'll be right back. And then the snarling, I want to talk to you about that.
Okay, yep.
I'm losing another part of me. They keep turning up where they shouldn't be. Gotta be careful or I'm gonna get robbed. And I don't wanna see myself for sale at a pawn shop, no. because I'm an honest guy, and that's a surprise. Cause I've been dicked around time and time again. Put my trust in people, only hurt me in the end. At every crossroads and every bend, keep a close eye on your friends. 'Cause you see the devil walks among men. At every crossroads and every bend, keep a close eye on your friends. 'Cause you see the devil walks among men.
Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie.
Dunedin band Salary in there with a song called Devil Among Men. I am the Roadie. This is Paranormal After Dark, and my special guest this week is Barbara Caisley, paranormal researcher from Auckland. And we continue the conversation now. And we're back here with Barbara. Now, we were talking about snarling before the break. Now, this is another bugbear of mine, right? Okay, I don't know if... I apologise now if you're Catholic or Christian for about what I'm about to say, okay?
Okay.
But demons, right, to me, are a creation of the Catholic Church. There you go. I've said it.
And that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
the thing is, no one actually knows.
No.
No one has a clue.
No, the thing that
I
gets me
personally
about it,
believe
right?
in angels.
Yeah, yeah.
And so if I believe in angels, by default, I should believe in demons. But I don't believe that they are these
No, we'll see.
horned,
No.
horned male creatures who go around trying to, cause havoc. And
Well, that's what I'm saying. You see,
I don't.
the big thing for me with that, the thing that grated me, you and I are the same generation, I suspect. We grew up in the same time with all these bloody horror films, right? Where you had to get the what do you call them, the Exorcist in. But the Exorcist he had to be a Catholic priest, right? He couldn't be a bloody Hindu swami or a bloke down the street. It had to be a Catholic priest, right? And so my argument was the Catholics are creating the demons to get trade. You see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas there's good and bad people in real life. So that stands to reason on the other side, if there is another side, there's good and bad. That's your demons. Not what the bloody, you can only get rid of it if I come around and spring holy water and
definitely not how they're portrayed in the media. Absolutely not.
Sorry, I cut you off.
But I find it really interesting that you, when I said about snarling, you immediately thought about demons because
that's what they portray it
I
as.
hadn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it's always portrayed in the media, or it's there's a snarling, therefore it must be a demon. Well, that's the general consensus, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But it is interesting, that good and bad thing, like you say. To me, it's as in life, as in death. If you're a good person in life, you're probably a good person on the other side. If you're an evil, but if you're a murderer and you die and you're on the other side, are you suddenly going to become a nice person? You're probably an evil bugger
not.
over there, right? So it would stand to reason if you're haunting somewhere, you're probably going to be a bad bugger,
But then, I mean, you can take it further. A murder. Well, according to religion, if you're a murderer, you're not going to the same place where the nice people went.
Yeah, but
you'll be going where the demons and the devil goes.
But are you?
But that's exactly right.
That's
what I mean.
Of Christianity as well.
It's an endless topic. I
like to talk about it with paranormal investigators because some people, and fair enough, they have their Christianity beliefs in that, and they disagreed with what I had to say. But I firmly believe that heaven and hell thing is a creation of basically Christianity, because you go back to the old religions, they had an underworld, but it wasn't so much hell or heaven and stuff, right? It was different.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
I mean, basically, it's going back to the the good and the bad.
It's almost like
and
demonizing when they talk about horned people. To me, that's Christians demonizing the old gods, like say Hearn the Hunter or whatever. Oh, well, that's a pagan god, therefore it's a demon.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, which that whole religion thing is a road you can go down. It is.
Well, that's basically a whole different road. Well, it's similar, but a whole different sort of road.
So you got some snarling. So if you didn't immediately go to demons, what did you think it was?
Well, I didn't know. I was absolutely intrigued by it, and of course, got all my friends around, and we sat around this recorder and all listened to it. And then a friend had. So I didn't come to any conclusions. I've always been a bit like that. I prefer to have a good think about things and to try and work out what it could possibly be. It certainly didn't sound. We did have cats at that stage, but it certainly didn't sound cat-like. And then, sounds really far-fetched, and I mean, I promise I have evolved quite a long way since I was a teenager. But a psychic had said, told a friend of mine when she asked about it, and said it was probably my angel, that my if you want to call it an angel, keeping something evil away. Which I was like, I don't know what. So my guardian angel's in my lounge snarling at something.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, exactly. But back then, I entertained that thought. Maybe that was that.
Have you thought animals? Have you thought in recent years animals? I mean, it stands to reason that if we would die and have spirits, that possibly there's animal spirits.
I do believe that some animals have. I had a dog die, and it was a little spaniel, and it had ticks in its ears. I didn't realise it at the time, but when it died, for probably 4 or 5 weeks after it, and lying in bed at night, I would feel my bed just shaking as though the dog was scratching its ear. But that just slowly it dissipated over time. It got less and less, and I'm assuming that if it was the spirit of our dog, that his energy just dissipated over time.
See, you said the word psychic, okay? Now, Now I kind of touched on it earlier, where you sense things, right? I can buy somebody walks into a room and goes, I can sense this, or I can sense that. But the ones who walk around saying to me, I've got a man and he's talking to my head saying X, Y, Z, blah, 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 I'm just looking at him going, piss off. How do I know that? You know? You know what I mean? What do you think?
I know, absolutely. We quite often get it, particularly at public events. And in public ghost hunts, and without fail there'll be 1 or 2 psychics. It's like, oh yes, no, I can see over there's an older lady, and she's got her hair up in a bun, and she's holding the hand of a girl. She's about 12 years old, and she's got little blonde plaits down the front. They hang down the front, and the little girl's holding a little dog, and
she's wearing a long white dress.
Just like, exactly. And no, I'm sorry, no.
I agree with you, Barbara. I think the sensitive thing is more legit. Like someone can sense something. I'm walking and saying, I sense that maybe there's been a death here, or there's energy here. I get that, because I think all of us in our life, and I've had events in my life where you kind of just sense that something's wrong or something's right over here. I buy that, but I don't buy the ones who tell me that Joe Bloggs is standing. Well, we had a girl at the Globe years ago who claimed that she was having conversations with Frank. And could see him. In fact, after I left, I had a person tell me that, and this is what gets me. I had a person who'd only turned up in sort of the year before I left, telling me that they were sitting in the auditorium one night and that Frank appeared to them on the stage under the full worker lights, and they saw a full body apparition. And I said, yet I'd been there 10 years in dark theatres with lights, and I never saw anything. What makes you so special?
Exactly. But have you ever thought of that? I mean, I know I've considered this. Why do ghosts not just turn up on stage?
That's it. Why don't they? Exactly.
Why so that lots of people can see them? And, why is it always, usually only if there's one or two people around? It's like, man, if I was a ghost, I would be on that stage. Full house, I'd be there.
And same as, and I think too, if I'm haunting, and I've always said, if I'm haunting somewhere, right, like, and people are saying, oh, knock 3 times for me, I'm taking the piss out of them, man. I'm scaring the shit out of them, right? I'm going to do everything I bloody can, right, to do it. It's like. But you see, that leads me to another interesting thing, though, is that this is where I kind of lean towards what I think the spirit world is, but I'll tell you that in a minute. But see, what I find interesting with is that people like, let's say, Art Bell, the radio show host, who said that, if there is a spirit world and he gets on the other side, he's going to make contact. Harry Houdini, same thing, right? A lot of people have said. Yeah. Now, if those people who are paranormal people are going over there, why aren't they making legitimate contact? I mean, I've seen people on YouTube with their silly little bloody spirit boxes claiming that they're talking to these people, and all you get is right? But legitimately, if I'm legitimately Art Bell or Houdini, I'm making every effort I can to prove that it exists, right? And that hasn't happened. Well, apparently hasn't happened.
Well, I mean, he promised to come back.
That's right.
He was going to come back and let his wife know, and he never has.
That's exactly
One theory about that is that, in a different realm, the time may be different.
Well, this is what
perhaps, and perhaps, what is important changes.
Well, that's kind of where I'm leading. Yeah, exactly. Time. You see, we think of time as linear, and being a huge Star Trek fan, you're kind of fed with this time, different timelines and parallel universes and stuff. And this is where I get back to what we talked about earlier, where you see a ghost team, particularly in the UK, sitting in these old houses that are absolutely preserved. Everything's still sitting there. And I'm sitting there thinking, say there's an old chap sitting there, right, in his chair in 1973, watching a football match on TV, right? To him, when he died, it was 1973, and maybe that's where you exist in that time. So you're sitting there, and to you, if you hear or see anything from 2024, that's a haunting for you, right?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, maybe that's what happens. The time you die in is the time that's where you exist.
Yeah, it very well could be too. There are so many theories. There is so much that I don't believe we'll ever know until we're there.
No, and then even then, that's the intriguing part.
Well, yeah,
would you know?
Will we know? Yeah, exactly. We'll know, but will we care?
Yeah, well, we care, but will we know? Because that's what I'm saying is, and I was watching a team the other night who surprised me when they actually said, "Oh, do you know that you've died?" And we're in the year 2024. See, that's what I'm saying. Maybe they're sitting in their chair watching a football game in 1973 and they just think it's 1973 and they're going about their business, right? They don't know any different,
Well, That's like that movie, The Others, I mean, he could be thinking he's got ghosts because, things get moved around sometimes and he hears disembodied voices that, he's disturb him from watching his football.
And it's actually a paranormal investigator in 2024, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's one of the great, if somebody cracks this shit, man, it's going to be revelatory, incredible,
Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie.
Big thank you to Barbara for coming on the show. Really enjoyed chatting. I've got a lot more to come from that chat, which will be on future episodes. I'd like to keep stuff back in the editing process and we can put it together again. Anyway, that's been Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie. I'll see you next time. Take the show out then with band that I worked a lot with in the 90s in Christchurch, Tempest, and a song called Deceiver. I'll see you next time. This is the Roadie signing off.
Want some understanding. Well, I need some help, my friend. Someone who will not lie to me. Please tell me where I stand. Well, I can't help feeling so misled. Now I'm all alone. Well, I feel I've lost my will to fight. I'm so far from home. Dying is hard when you're on your own. Time has come to leave a mortal cold. Lies I heard, I the truth I know. Deceiver comes for me and steals my soul. Steals my soul. Darkness falls upon me. My mind clouds in rain. Nothing's feeling real to me. Consumed by the pain. Dying is hard when you're on your own. Time has come to leave a mortal cold. Lies I heard, I the truth I know. Deceiver comes for me
Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie.